Welcome to Frequency Matters, the RF and microwave update series. I'm Jenn DiMarco, and I'm here with Tim Rainear and Eric Higham. Welcome. This episode is sponsored by RFMW, a technical distributor of RF, microwave, and power management products. Today we're coming to you from IMS2026, taking place in Boston, June 7th through the 12th. We're seeing a lot of trends emerging. AI infrastructure has certainly been front and center with new high-speed connectivity solutions targeting next-generation data centers. We're also seeing companies unveiling advances in RF test and measurement for AI, quantum computing, satellite communications, and future 6G networks. Defense and aerospace technologies have remained strong with new RF architectures, MMIC solutions, and also high-frequency components on display. Tim, what are you seeing?
Well, I've seen a lot of the same things. A lot of test and measurement people are starting to use AI now. That's pretty exciting, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting to see how much they can leverage that and bring in their younger engineers to use those tools to supplement the experience from the senior members of the staff. Some of the other things that I've seen are a lot of drone activity, a lot of new products for anti-drone systems, antennas, and amplifiers to detect and deter drones around stadiums and around public buildings. So that's been interesting. Eric, how about you? Anything new?
Yeah, so I'm going to get nostalgic a bit. For me, IMS is always about the old and the new. And I won't talk about old colleagues, but longtime colleagues and co-workers, and it's good to catch up with them. So there's been a lot of that going on. On the new side, I was really impressed to see that Starlink, SpaceX has a booth here, and that's the first time that I've seen them here, to my experience. Other than that, I think Jen and Tim, you both mentioned a lot of the trends that we're seeing. Everybody's talking about the need for more bandwidth, so that means higher in frequency. We talked to someone the other day where they were looking at what they call the pick and axe of quantum, and I think that's really what it gets down to. This is a very smart community, and I think if someone does the translation for AI and quantum into terms that the microwave engineers understand, there'll be a lot of forward progress on that. So a lot of energy on the floor, and looking forward to continuing the great tradition.
So Tim, how are you finding the atmosphere of the show?
It's been very energetic, a lot of traffic. I've talked to a number of the booths, and a lot of guys are pleased with the amount of people that have come by and are asking questions, and it's been a good show so far.
So we've had a few things going on in our booth. We've had our AI photo booth, which has been a lot of fun, and we've had 7 prompts you can choose from. So we've had a lot of fun with that, and here's a sampling of some of those photos. Beyond the products, IMS itself debuted a new technical conference structured to better reflect the rapidly evolving RF and microwave industry, including RFSA, RFTT, and RFIC. So Tim, what else are you seeing at the show? Anything?
Well, one of the themes that I've started to hear this week, and I was a little surprised to hear it, is some concern with the supply chain. I heard people talking last night about the lack of gallium in the industry, and its source is pretty narrow focused. Also, indium phosphide material is getting harder and harder to come by, so I hope that doesn't become a bigger problem for the industry.
Yeah, it's kind of the geopolitical world we live in, right, where It's now just some of those constraints become political constraints. But and China features heavily in the discussions. It's defense-centric, or people are happy about defense, and again, that gets into the geopolitical realm. So there's a lot of those trends sort of percolating just below the surface here that we're picking up on. But that's kind of the world we live in now, is that you have to consider those things.
So Eric, we were all three of us at the plenary the other night listening to the keynote speaker on quantum computing. How does that relate to what's going on here at the show?
Yeah, he was a great speaker, and clearly neck deep in that application and market. And he was really talking about kind of how we got where we are, and all the kind of the fundamental research going on. And I think what we've heard a few times here on the floor is, how do you go from that fundamental theory? And we all understand now that it's Schrodinger's cat and the cat in the box. But how do we go from that kind of conceptual, this is interesting, to making a product, performing a service? Yeah. And so we all sat in meetings where we're starting to hear people thinking about that. And I mentioned earlier the pick and the axe analogy that we heard. Is how do you start doing that heavy lifting, that building up the foundation so that you can turn it into products. And at the end of the day, the industry doesn't exist if companies can't monetize things. So how do you go from a great idea that wins you and a team a Nobel Prize to actually having products you can sell? And how is the consumer going to benefit from that? Why am I going to pay money for something that's quantum? I'm not smart enough to know what quantum is, but why do I want it? And I think that's what the industry is working on now. Yeah, and we've had at least a couple of people talk about kind of how to do the translation, because it's almost a different language, right? From quantum to RF and microwave, but it's not so different.
That was one of the themes that I picked up on. I think they use different terms for the same stuff that we've been doing for the last 20 years here.
So you talk to a microwave engineer and you say quantum entanglement, and they may not be so sure. But if you say oscillator and that sort of thing, then they're like, oh yeah, that's simple.
I've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah. And so I think that's where we are, and that's where we need to be. The ideas come first always, and then it's up to the engineers and the technical community to turn them into something that's usable and will benefit everybody and make our lives better.
Thank you for joining us for this special issue of Frequency Matters. This episode of Frequency Matters is sponsored by RFMW. RFMW is a technical distributor of RF, microwave, and power management products. Make sure to tune in next time, and thank you for joining us.